Anyone who calls me the British equivalent of Shango, British version of Shango, might have a point. This is a 1954 Philips 1446U band one only version. It means it's BBC only. There was a version of this model that had band 3 tuner for ITV as well, which I think I've got in my lockup somewhere. Right, but yeah. Look, however, what I will say about this set is that looks can be deceiving. Looks about okay from the outside, apart from this peeling off, and a few scratches, doesn't it? And a few bits of dirt behind the protective screen. You'd probably say it looks okay, doesn't it, from here? However, as I said, looks can be deceiving. Bash the camera up against my lamp. Yeah. That is going to take, if anyone wants to restore this, that is going to take a lot of effort. Conditions of speaker and a load of dog hairs or something in this. That sounds like it's... I imagine that the coil in this is going to be really scratchy. Going to make this really scratchy. Fortunately, I've got a few spare speakers. That one's from a later Philips. That one there. Got a few lying around here. And at the bottom is no better. Yeah, I didn't remove any back panels on this. It already came with the back panels removed when I got it. Just mount my lamp up there so we got some lighting. It's got the Debilier or Debilia electrolytics. They usually go leaky, I think, from what I remember. Debilier as well, can't really see. However, most of the capacitors in this are these Philips so-called tar capacitors. I don't know if they are actually tar, but yeah, because the thing is made by Philips, they usually use their own capacitors. Octal socket for something there, not sure what. Encrusted in rust. Sets like this are why I wear gloves. Can't see So far, can't see any signs of repair. What about this? At first I thought that red electrolytic there was a replacement, but then I noticed the two behind it, look. Can you see those behind there? Yeah. This is gonna be a challenge. Right. So no, I genuinely can't see any signs of previous repairs. These peach coloured things are just see if I can reduce the lighting a little bit. There we are. There we are. These peach coloured things are Philips's own high wattage resistors. There's another one there. Probably a few more up top. But yeah. So yeah, these capacitors, they have strange values printed on them. You can probably don't think you can properly see that yet. I'm going to have to get a service manual for this. Yeah. And another thing about these capacitors, from what I remember, is these Philips black tar capacitors are either, they all tend to go faulty in the same way at the same time, depending on the way that the set was stored. God, this thing is so dirty, you know, it could appear on Pornhub. That, I just spotted that, I'm going to have to improve my camera work. That does not look original, that's a high wattage resistor. That looks, I think I've seen these in later 50s, early 60s sets. So that looks like it's been replaced at some point. In fact, I could be wrong though, unless that's a really early example of these, because the soldering looks original, that looks factory. So yeah, I very much doubt that this thing has ever had a repair. Anyway, so you'll probably hear some noises from outside, like the car going. Anyway, and speaking of noises, if you can hear like a whirring sound, it's the fan. Not fan, the boiler. Anyway, so yeah, let's get this thing brought back to life. It's 21st of April 2023, and Dominic Raab has just resigned. Yeah, this bullying report, in case no one remembers or is aware, is because he was accused of behaving in a very bullying, inappropriate manner to civil servants in Downing Street. So yeah, this has been rumbling on for a few months now, but don't think I paid any particular attention to it. It was kind of in the background, so to speak. But yeah, as the BBC say, this is quite a surprise. And yes, on this old computer I am still running Windows 7. I don't use it for anything like purchases or anything that could put my security at risk or anything. But yeah, I'm probably going to get rid of it soon. Right, let's get a plug on the end of this thing. Yeah, of course it's 1950, so that's old UK mains wiring. Red, I don't know if you can see it, but red for live, black for neutral. Oh, where is it? Also, I forgot, before I started filming this, that fell out. I think it's, I mean, there are several holes here, right, and I think that these nails fitted into there. But yeah, that thing came off. Probably going to have to hammer these over so that they lay flat. Ooh, ow. I even felt that, even though it's not punctured my glove. Yeah, I'll have to hammer those flat. Okay, because I don't fancy catching something from a rusty nail. Yeah. At least it hasn't penetrated this, which shows that the glove is doing its job. Okay, so fitted a new plug on it. This is, as you can probably tell, not a new plug, although it is up to spec, I believe. Yeah, it always demonstrates to you why devices are now sold, electronic gadgets are now sold with plugs, because until the late 80s, early 90s, you could often buy stuff like this, tellies, washing machines, you name it, without a plug, and then either the store that you bought it from would wire it up for you, or you could get an electrician to do it, or you could do it yourself. The reason why I mention that is because this came from a plug from the plug came from a power supply from a scrap Video 2000 format video recorder, which is obviously 1980s, and it came with a 5 amp fuse in it as opposed to a 3 amp. So yeah, brown goods 3 amp, white goods 5 amp I think. It's very rare that you should actually use a 13 amp fuse in a 13 amp socket, because this 13 amp here, this tells you what the plastic of the plug is rated for, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'll put a caption up. I don't have enough time this morning to download a service manual for this, because first of all I'm going to have to find out what this missing fuse is rated at and supplies, and why, and then probably work out why it's missing, and secondly find out which one of these capacitors is the mains interference filter capacitor, which is a capacitor that's directly across the mains. And if you plug it in without cutting that out, removing it, then the capacitor will it will either blow the mains fuse, or it will very obviously, in a very obvious fashion, tell you where it is. Yeah, smoky. That's what I mean. That's the obvious method I mean. Smoky. Right. It's certainly never going to power up with that valve hanging out of its socket. Let me just put that in. And see how much crud is coming off this. That's just from me resting the bottom of my palm of my hand on there for about, I don't know, 10 seconds. Anyway, so yep, I don't have enough time to download the service manual for this and get into it because it's now 10:44 and I've got to set off for work in a minute at 11 o'clock because they've got me on a late shift. Just a short thing I'll mention, I'm not going to test a tube yet unless I need to, just to diagnose whether a dark picture or something is down to the tube or not, or whether it's down to the video signal feeding the tube. But yeah, this is the tube, Mullard MW3624. I mean, I don't have Mullard are owned by Philips, so of course they're going to use Mullard tubes and not Mazda. But yeah, I don't have, for my Muter and B&K tube testers, I don't have an adapter that will fit the MW3624. I suppose I could make one up, but yeah. And this thing really is the... What was that car in the 70s that used to rust within 3 days of you owning it? Lancia Beta, I think it was. Yeah. Lancia Beta of televisions, to be honest. In fact, this is probably less rusty, actually. Right, I'm just looking over this thing. It's 9:45 on the 22nd of April. Just having a look over this thing now. The first thing that you need to do with any old TV like this is, as I think I said yesterday, so earlier in this video, remove the capacitor that's directly, or supposed to be in this case, directly across the mains. Because often capacitors, as they age, they go short and go short circuit and that sort of thing, and you don't want to have a short circuit capacitor that's connected across 2 points of the mains input because of the current that's involved in mains. Right, so anyway, I'm having a look at this. The service manual downloaded from Paul Stenning's website. I'm having a look at this, and normally they put the mains filter capacitor across against one side of the mains and the ground, the mains interference filter capacitor, so either between this line and ground or this line and ground. But Philips being Philips, they've not done that. I think that this capacitor 81 that seems to decouple the heater chain. The filament chain is also acting as the mains filter or interference capacitor, I think. But I mean, would it though? It's got these... In fact, no, it can't be. I don't think, because it's only connected when this point here on the mains voltage selector is only connected when that is used. Oh, in fact, no, it isn't. Sorry, I'm being daft. it's connected regardless, because look, it goes through that resistor 110, then 109, and then up to there. Or if it's connected there, it goes through resistor 108, then 108, then 110, then 109, then up there, and then across that. And another thing that makes me think it is a mains... Sorry, I'm trying to use my... Where's the cursor gone? There. Trying to use my mouse left-handed. Another thing that makes me think that it is a mains filter capacitor is... Scroll up, this is taking forever. Is on this page. If I... There's capacitor 81, wasn't it? So look, capacitor 81, paper. I mean, of course it is 22,000 picofarad, so that's 100,000, that's 22 nanofarads, so that's 0. And then another 10, 2.2, 0.2200, 0.022, that's 0.022 microfarads at 1000 volts. So 1000 volts, that implies to me that it could well be, because of course here in the UK, mains voltage is 230 volts AC, so that's going to be, what, 500, 600 volts DC, right? And they always put for a capacitor rating, and they always put a overrated capacitor, a capacitor that's got more than the voltage rating in for that purpose, I think, because of the current. Anyway, so let's get finding this capacitor. I bet capacitor 81, that's got to be the mains filter capacitor. Okay, I've done, just scratched my nose a bit, I've done a little bit more investigating. That is capacitor 81, and it's definitely on this panel, because look, there's capacitor 71, there is that capacitor, and not sure what's going on up here, because we've got two large capacitors. Is that one there? Two large ones here, but then there, I mean, even though they're in the same place, like one's small and one's large. Probably a modification during production, but anyway. Right. There it is. That's, I think, what we need to snip and look. Don't know if you can see it, but that thing, where's my fingers? There. That thing has got a split there. I don't know if that is split with age or what. In fact, let me get the light back on it. There we are, you see it? Another split there. What's that? Come on. I've just remembered something else that we need to do before we start it up, is find out, just hook that on there. I'm gonna stay. Bad wire. Anyway, we need to find out what that missing fuse is, and also probably test if that one is blown. Okay, I'm a bit of an idiot. It's been. No wonder it's not printed in the manual. It's because it's printed right there, right in front of me. 1 amp. That's the value of the fuses that we need here. Duh. This thing really puts the and rust into my YouTube channel name, doesn't it? Probably get some sticky tape, fix it with some sticky tape, then it would be sticky tape and rust. Right, so that one doesn't seem to be open. I can only find a fast blow 1 amp fuse in my stock. I've got several of these, but I can only find this type, not a slow blow one, which I would prefer. Right, I'm not going to completely remove that, I'm just going to snip one of the ends so that it's still out of circuit. Okay, I couldn't quite snip it, so I just ripped part of my... No. Just the lighting again. So yeah, I couldn't quite snip it. So I've done a totally professional job here, as you can see. Yeah. I mean, that would be professional even for Barry Bodger, wouldn't it? Right, here we go. I've got the TV. Right, oh, there's one more thing I just want to do. Hang on. So, yeah, I just wanted to turn it up the right way, just in case. Just in case anything goes pop beneath, so that it showers on the workbench and not on me. But yeah. Oh. That capacitor there could go pop. But anyway, just to make sure that that's securely in. And on. Yeah, I seem to be ripping through these. So that's another one, that's what, second one this morning. Right, I've only got 11 minutes left on the camera. Yeah, let's just crack on with this. So yeah, I've got that connected into the lamp limiter to limit current. One I built myself, as you can see it's my usual high quality work. High quality woodwork, keeping it very clean obviously. Yeah, so plugged into the lamp limiter, which will limit the current. The lamp limiter has an option for either switching the bulb in or full power, which leaves the bulb out and applies full mains. This is then plugged into the watt meter to read the wattage and a few other things as well, which is then plugged into the variac, which is then plugged into the isolation transformer, which is XBBC, which is then plugged into the mains, or rather down here somewhere, but anyway, so yeah we've got safety there because we've got 2 fuses there, safety here because that's current limiting. There's a fuse in there as well, of course, in case the cable overheats. That wasn't me farting, by the way, that was just me treading on this, sliding my slipper on that cable. There's that, which has got a fuse, that's fused, the isolation transformer itself is fused, and then of course the extension cable is fused, plug that goes into there is fused, which then of course is connected to the, if I zoom in on it, the circuit breaker. So yeah, we are extra safe. So yeah, so I very much doubt that anything's going to go pop, because I'm limiting the current first, allowing the capacitors to reform. And something else I've just realised as well. This being a Philips, of course they do their own thing. Yeah. I think that these gloves are a size too small for me. Anyway. Anyway, of course it being a Philips, they expect me to have a degree in nuclear physics on how to use this thing, because look, none of these knobs are marked with what they do. Right, I suppose they are. Okay, I've just spotted that B for brightness. That's going to be V for volume. Nothing for that one. Nothing for that one. And if we come around the other side, the lamp probably won't. No, the lamp does not reach. But that one's missing. Presumably that one's only for if you've got the ITV version, which this one is not. That's probably going to be contrast, I guess. Then no marking on that one, no marking on that one. So I'm guessing then, as there's no on and off button, that's just for decoration, because the ITV version has the channel selector here, that one doesn't. I'm guessing then that it's going to be this one. It's the on and off button, or on and off knob. About 20 years too early for buttons, aren't we? Yeah, gotta be that one. Right, so here we go. First of all, we switch variac on. We are on 238 volts. I want to switch that to watts. 0 watts at the moment. That is switched so that the bulb is in circuit, so that will limit current. Of course it's current that does the most damage. Switch that on. Right, and does anyone else ever get nervous at this moment? I shouldn't be, because I've got loads and loads and loads of safety. Okay. We've got no... Right. Also, there's nothing on the lamp. I think I'm missing something fundamental here. Yeah. This thing is deader than George Peppard. Ugh. No sign of life. So, are all the valves working? Sorry. Bit of a stupid question. Are all the valves correctly in their sockets? I don't know. We'll have to get that out. I think, oh hang on, is that one, the middle one there, that one doesn't look like it's properly in. See, that one there, we'll have to be careful because there's mains in here, but see, that middle one there, No, it doesn't look like it's in properly. I've only got 4 minutes recording time left on the camera. I've just drawn the chassis out a bit further, gone through, wiggled some of the tubes back into their sockets. I'm picking up an Americanism now, aren't I? Valves. Picked up valves. Yeah, wiggled the valves into their sockets. The tubes. Right. Picked up the tubes, put them back in the socket. So yeah, that was my bad impression of an American accent. Anyway, so yeah, I've pulled it out a bit, wiggled some of the tubes in. I've done it again, wiggled some of the valves in, and then put it back in. My brain's, it's only, what, 10:30, 25 to 11, and already my brain's starting to melt. Anyway, oh, and I didn't make sure that that was on properly. Oh yeah, that's loose, which is always a nice thing to see. Right, well, we're getting power going into it, so it's not the lamp limiter. Because look, 246 volts, which roughly matches what that says, 242. Yeah, so 246 volts AC going into it. Yeah, might we be on the wrong voltage setting? In fact, I have just seen it. Look at the state of that on and off switch. That, this, not this one, but this one, the black back to it, that is the back of the on and off switch. Does anyone think that that's gone bad? Yeah, I think it has. It's now 9:30 on morning of Sunday, 23rd of April. I'm going to try and at least diagnose why this is not working. Don't know if we'll be able to get it working today or get it alive today, but yeah. Yeah, let's see if we can get George Peppard back to life today. Anyway, one thing I did notice, I didn't even notice yesterday, is that, and of course it makes sense given how old this thing is that when this thing was made, if you were living in London, you would have still been on the original Alexandra Palace transmitter, the one that started it all in 1936. Because I think it was a year or a couple of years after this thing was made, so 1955 or 56, that Alexandra Palace was shut down and the BBC's London and South East area transmitter moved from North London for Alexandra Palace down to South London for Crystal Palace, which was maybe a mile, maybe less than a mile from ITV's first transmitter at Croydon on South Norwood Hill, I think. Anyway, yeah. Yep, let's get this powered up. Right. So what I'm going to check today, first of all, is the mains selector switch, because there were still different voltages in the mid-50s in Britain, depending on where you lived. This one I think is currently set to 245. There's no marker on there to say which one has been selected, but I think because 245 is the top one, that one is the one that is selected. There might well have been a marker on the back panel, but the back panel is of course long gone. So yeah, we need to check that, because if you remember that network of resistors that I showed you yesterday when I was trying to find out if that capacitor beneath was the mains interference filter, that is the switch to switch between the different resistor networks. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to check that first. Then I'm going to scratch my nose. That's what I'm going to do next. Right, and then I am going to check this, because it's all wired up in series. All the valves are wired up in series. I am not convinced that that is making contact with the heater pins inside the tube, which of course is going to break the circuit and not switch it on. So that, then the mains switch, which is back here, and I've discovered, I think, that you can actually remove it by turning this. Oh, I thought it was rock solid then. I thought it was stuck rock solid, but yeah, by turning that, then if that doesn't prove faulty, then I'm going to check the heaters of the rest of the valves, and if they don't prove faulty, then I'm going to check the valve heaters, the valve sockets. So yeah, also might need to check around here as well, these mains dropper resistors. So my camera work still needs to improve. Yeah, these mains dropper resistors need checking. What a fun morning. Decided to slightly reassess the priorities for checking what is gone. Right, you might now, with me saying that, you might now be thinking, heater's gone in the tube. Well, no. So my meter's giving it its blessing. As I was just saying before, I realised I didn't hit the record button on the camera. That was easier than I thought. There we are. It's still wired in, of course. Right, so now let's see if I know that I tested that first. It's just because it was easier. I'd realised it would be easier to just test it with the socket in place rather than remove the socket and risk pulling off some of the wires from the tube. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, let's now test this. This is my original gut instinct that this has gone. I'll be happy to prove that I'm wrong. I've still not tested that, because now I've realised that it would be probably a little bit more work to get that done. So yeah, I always go from easiest when I'm doing diagnostics. I list all the suspects in my head, and then just go from easiest to access to hardest to access, rather than most likely to least likely. Okay, I've discovered one more thing that I need to check. And looking at this wiring diagram, it makes sense. See, let me just get into position. What happens is mains comes from these two fuses down through pins 8 and 10, and then into the main switch, and then back through pins 9 and 7, I think, but we're not really, yeah, in fact, well, we are concerned with pins 9 and 7, aren't we, really? So, yeah. So I need to check continuity here, because look, that, for all I know, could well be loose. Even wearing these blue nitrile gloves, I'm still a bit kind of icky and about touching this. Yeah, I see it. I see it. That, look, if you, let me just zoom you in. That has come out of there. And it's that lead, yeah, that lead is what carries, it's one of these two, I don't know which one, but it's either, it's one of these, I think it's either 8 or 10, right. Let me see if I can get that socket off. Hang on, let's get this, prise it off. So yeah, I've got this off now. I don't know if the previous part recorded or not, but if it didn't, yeah. Do you see, let's get the mains cable out of the way. You see that cable there has come off. There's a few other cables, including that red one there, which has come off, and the reason why it's come off is because half of these socket pins are still stuck in there. Today is Monday, 24th of April. I am continuing with the Phillips T-chest, the dead T-chest. If you can hear noise coming from inside, that's because we're having the carpet cleaned today. Yeah, and I think, I'll just shut that up for a moment. I think we are definitely getting to the bottom of why this is not switching on. I'll show you my completely professional bodged repair to that in a few minutes' time, hopefully. But I'll just move that there. But the main reason why this is not switching on is, as I suspected, this is definitely switched into the position where the switch would be closed. And let me just secure that on there. Turn that off because it's overexposing the camera now. Switch that on. We have continuity there, none there, or there. And if I connect this to the other fuse, we have continuity there, but not there or there. Yesterday, after I had finished filming, we did actually have continuity between here and here, but not that and that. So the switch is not closing, it's staying open, which means then that there's no current that's passing through. Now someone's using the toilet or the tap or whatever. I don't really care that much about this thing, you know, to properly fix this, to replace it with a new switch. There's holes where you can blast service oil or whatever into the volume part of the switch, the volume part of the control, but there's nothing to access the on and off switch without completely disassembling this, which I don't want to do because I want to still be able to adjust the volume. So here we go. Let's bridge these two and these two with the wire just to force the switch shut. If ever I need to switch it off, don't worry, I can switch it off from either the lamp limiter or from my variac. So yeah, and that's going to be safer anyway, because if I switch it off from there or there, it's going to cut mains to here completely, whereas if I switched it off from here, there would still be mains potential there. So yeah, okay, even though it's isolated. But yeah, I think I've got a gut feeling that we're on the edge of finally seeing some life in this now, after what looks like maybe a century or a couple of centuries, but obviously it's going to be longer than that, or it's going to be shorter than that. Right. Oh yeah, they definitely had television in the 17th century, didn't they? Oh yeah, Jacobean television set. Okay, here is my... switch that off. Here is my totally... as I was saying, here is my totally professional, not at all quick and lazy repair, bodge, whatever to that. Right, so I'm going to put this panel back there, right, and screw it back on with that. Not completely tightly, but just tighten it up so that it doesn't completely fall loose, but yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm not going to tighten it up all the way, you know, because I have a feeling that I'm going to need to unscrew this again. Let me get my hand back in the strap. There we are. So yeah, I've just been spending the past, what, 10 minutes? And I've learned two things. First of all, well, three things actually, as you probably just heard, I've kicked something. So first of all, I need to tidy this up, which is something that desperately needs doing. Secondly, I probably should not be let near a television at all, because I've just realised that this is a valve look. I thought that that was one of these coil inductors until I spotted the pip of the valve like this one, see? For anyone who's not very familiar with old TVs, like most valves have this pip on the top. I didn't spot that until just a few minutes ago. And secondly, for most of those 10 or 15 minutes, I've just been looking about where this goes. Now the other end of that is connected to this wire, and I've just done that by confirming a continuity test on the meter. So yeah, this end will obviously just need screwing to something. See how that one is screwed onto there. We'll just screw it onto one of these because that's an earthing strap. So this cable is earthed. I've just been spending the best part of the past 10, 15 minutes looking around the TV for any other cables that have got a slightly wider connector on the end for this to slip into. Yeah, I really shouldn't be let near a TV because it's been staring me right in the face. It goes in there. And that is used to connect an earth up to here, which I think is supposed to be a built-in antenna. 1/2 of the dipole of a built-in antenna. Some TVs in the 50s had that, not many, but a few that I know of. I mean, I've got a late 50s Colster Brands that has a similar thing. That where a sheet of metal or foil or something acts as 1/2 of the dipole of a VHF antenna, and the chassis as the other half. That is why, that must be why then, or one of the reasons why, both the time base and power supply and the RF and sound stage and vision stage are connected to each other on this same chassis frame. Another reason, of course, is just to keep it all tidy and together. It's not always, scratch my nose again, it's not always a foregone conclusion that TVs with separate chassis for time base and signal stages have the chassis connected, physically connected together, mounted together, because there was a Bush TV in the mid-50s, like a year or two after this, that had 2, or I think 3 separate chassis, but they were only connected together by wire. They weren't physically mounted together like this. I don't know if that one had an internal dipole antenna, but probably not. Right, so let's do this thing once again. Always really annoys me when he just toots like that, you know. Why can't you just... See, we've got these things. We're living in 2023 at the moment. We've got these things. We've got a mobile. You can send a text message on it. You can phone people on it. You can send WhatsApp messages on it. Nothing better like a mini computer in your pocket, is there? And then there are some people who... I don't know why, I know it was only a short pip, but he does it every time and it annoys me. Anyway, so yeah, we've got this connected into there, into the lamp limiter, which I will now get out and put on here. Lovely and safe and secure socket. But anyway, so yeah, we've got the lamp limiter on there. So this is, so the TV has got 2 fuses around the back for any electrical faults within the TV set. This is fused for any faults within the wiring, and I'm telling you all this again. The bulb inside will limit the current going into the TV, so as to prevent any, or as much damage as possible to any components inside. Speaking of which, is the same reason why is one of the reasons why I've got the screen facing me. Okay, the other reason being, if there's anything that shows up on the screen, probably won't, but we live in hope. Right then, smoker's cough. The other reason, let me get out of Shango mode. The other reason, anyway, is so that if anything underneath pops, it will do so on the desk and not harm me, and if there's anything around the back pops on the top of the chassis, it will do so, maybe not against the wall, but, you know, I am still shielded, so I am perfectly safe. And electrically, that RCD is not going to trip, because we've got, as I said, fuses behind here that will blow in case there's any kind of fault in the TV. They're rated at a lower amperage by design, 1 amp rather than 3 amps on here, because the 3 amp in the fuse in the plug is designed to stop the wire itself from overheating and catching fire. That will limit the current, as I said, because I've got it switched onto current. I've got the lamp switched into the current, lamp switched into circuit rather than it being on full power, which bypasses the lamp. I have then got a fuse in there, right. Then got the variac, which itself has a fuse built in, and also has a fuse in that. And then the isolation transformer, which has also got a fuse built in, which is plugged into one of these, I can't remember which, but one of these, which also has a fuse built in. Then of course this thing has got surge protection on it as well, and has got a fuse in the plug in there. So yeah, we are extra protected. Let's do this. Right, so switch power on here. It would help if I pushed it in the right direction. Watch the meter. There we go. And we have a lamp. Right, so we finally have a current going through the TV and then back on a return path. So that lit up quite brightly, and now it's getting dimmer. I really need to learn how to adjust the exposure on this camera, because it looks brighter in the camera than it does on here. But yeah, if you don't know, this is obviously not the first one I've released, but this is the first one I'm recording. So yeah, this camera is space age technology to me at the moment. Yeah, I did a degree in this kind of thing, you wouldn't believe, would you? Right, yeah, that is definitely getting dimmer. That is because of 2 reasons. One, the valve heaters are going to be lighting up, and remember, in a UK TV, I know if there are any American people, American collectors watching, that you quite often have valves connected in parallel to each other, but here it's series. So yeah, that is still getting dimmer. At least it's not staying at equal brightness. That is a good thing. At least that means that there's not a total short. So that should start lighting up soon again, or should get brighter, I mean. The other thing that can cause that to go dark, it's not either or, it's one of them is a certainty, which is the valves. The other one, which is a very likely possibility with this TV, is that capacitors are reforming, so that's going to draw some current as well. But yeah, okay, right, so all that was stopping it was that dodgy valve socket, which I'm still, dodgy mains wiring loom socket, I mean, not valve socket, mains wiring loom socket, that I'm yet to show you my Barry Bodger repair on, and the main switch, which was useless, the, not mains, but main power switch, which is useless. Anyway, Yeah, that is getting brighter now. That is getting brighter, so we are slowly returning back to life. And it smells. It's beginning to stink. I get a sense that something is about to go pop. I'm still learning how to use this thing. I was just zooming out, intending to zoom in. Yeah. Slight smell of burning. That couldn't be my soldering iron, could it? Switch that off. Yeah, I need to start learning not to look over the viewfinder, but to start using the viewfinder as my eyes as well, so that you see exactly as I see. Otherwise, you start getting things like this where I'm exaggerating slightly, but I'm looking at the valve amp, but you're looking down at my desk, so which is probably not the most interesting thing to you. Right. I really need to build myself a better lamp limiter, I think. Look at it. Yeah, I think that was my soldering iron. That burning smell's starting to go now. Yeah, I can still smell it from over there though, but as I stand over here, it's starting to go, so yeah. Let's see whether this company have made something as reliable as their reputation seems to suggest. I'm going to leave this on the lamp limiter for the capacitors to reform. Back into Django mode now. Right. Just a time check for you. Just for reference, it's now 1:30. Yep, I know I've got an idiot phone with a tatty case, but yeah. I for idiot. Right, anyway. Yeah. TV was obviously used by someone who was a bit of a heavy smoker. Mind you, that's no surprise. Up to the, so I'd say between the 1920s or 30s up to, when would you say, 80s or 90s. Virtually everyone smoked. You were seen as a bit of a strange one if you didn't. Back to life, back to reality. We're bringing this back to life. I can't imagine though that Soul to Soul sung their song about this, but anyway. I wonder, will my video look more professional if I shot from above, like a director wanting to make something feel small? Or from below, like a director wanting to make something look extremely powerful and influential? Yeah, that's the kind of thing that a media degree teaches you. Yeah, really useful in the workplace, yeah, really useful. But anyway, yeah, so we're about 25 to 2 now. I'll stop filming for the moment. Right, let's just leave this. I'm not going to leave it completely, but let me just save you from boredom of waiting an hour while that glows. This TV seems to be cursed, I swear. because the day, I think the first day that I started working on this, Barry Humphries died, and the news reports came in just after I stopped filming, just as I'd set off for work. Don't think there was anyone yesterday, because again I was at work. But yeah, today, Strictly Come Dancing, Judge Len Goodman has died. How popular is the monarchy under King Charles? Don't ask me, I'm a Republican. British Republican, anti-royalist type of Republican, not American Republican. It has... Wait for the car to go past. Thank you. It is now 2:30. This has been cooking for an hour. Put that back in there. Been cooking on there for an hour. Let's just do it. See what the wattage is. That is 120 so far. It seems to be staying stable around there. It's slowly climbing. Yeah, it's staying stable around 123, 124 watts, which is about normal for a 1950s valve television. However, I cannot hear anything from it. Okay, right, so of course that's going to be permanently on, isn't it? I've bridged it. Right, so switch on there. Let's see what we have for wattage. So we are currently on around 121 watts. It's probably going to go a little bit higher, but I don't think it will go that higher. Oh, not that much anyway. Right, so let me get my hand back into the strap properly. Did we get anything? Oh. Well, we get that. We also get the boy racer. Talk about tiny cock. Right, Jesus, those must be minuscule. So we have, if I turn it up to maximum, we just have that, a buzzing from the speaker. No vision or anything. Not even if I whack the brightness up. I don't hear the line oscillator starting, and I'm suspicious of that valve there as it's not glowing, whereas probably can't really see, but yeah, there you can, the one behind it is. Right. Would help if I was speaking to the camera while it was recording, wouldn't it? So yeah, I've just pulled this valve out. This was the one that didn't appear to be glowing. Obviously it was passing heater current because they're all wired in series, of course. Right, if one was broken, then the other one wouldn't be. The other ones wouldn't be lighting up. So yeah, just before I started recording, or thought I started recording, I've been cleaning off some of the dirt from this valve, and so the line output valve, which is a little bit further back there, you can see it. You can't see it, but it's this one here. Must be a PL81, and I think I can see the distinctive white sort of insulator or whatever it is inside there, inside the PL81. So yep, so this one has got to be a PY81. Looks like it, or is it PY82? Yeah. Phillips mini watt valve. That means it's really a Mullard, but what's in a name? Right. As long as it's a valve and it works, then yeah, whatever. Of course I meant as long as it's the right valve and it works, then yeah, whatever. Yeah, another example of why I probably shouldn't be let near a TV. Of course, that's not the boost rectifier, is it? It doesn't have the cap. The boost rectifier is, as normal, paired up with the line output valve. That's got to be a PY81 then, because that's definitely a PL82. A PL81. PL81, PY81. Yep. Let's see if we get any life on this valve now. Switch that off. Power up. Here's where it goes bang. I hear it. I hear the line output stage trying to start. Don't know if you can hear it, but there's a very, very, very faint line whistle there. Very faint. It should be much louder than that. That should be much louder. Is that this transformer here? There's the line output transformer. If this is the time-based panel, then that has got to be the frame transformer there. This one here, just tucked behind there. That's got to be it. Right, the frame stage is working. See, when I vary that, listen. That one also seems to have an effect as well. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on with this. That seems to vary the frame hold, as does that. Just while it warms up again, this seems to just keep on turning freely. That does not feel right. it just keeps on turning and turning. It's not as if it's unscrewing or anything, it's just continuously turning. Come on, focus. I'm going to focus on my hand. There we are. See, that thing just keeps on turning. So that needs checking. Oh, of course, it's a single band, isn't it? And also we got no line output. Oh, very okay. Don't know who it is, and I'm sure it's not for me, but I decided, yeah, to do that anyway. Right. So yeah, of course, there's no line output voltage, or very, very, very little, so I probably wouldn't see anything on there anyway, but I was originally just grabbing hold of that because normally on slightly later sets that had band 3 tuners like this Kossor and this Murphy, you turn the tuner to see if there's any sparkles or any noise that comes up on the screen, but of course there won't be because the line whistle is not present, so the line stage is not running, so there's no high voltage, no EHT to the tube.